and thank you for joining us on Weather Out West, the hour-long show here where we showcase what's happening weather-wise across the western United States. I'm Savannah Welch, and we begin today actually not on the Northwest or the West Coast, but back in the Midwest and Northeast, where millions of people are now gearing up for a dangerous winter storm. Forecasters say a powerful system is bringing heavy snow and freezing rain. It's expected to move into the southern Rockies, the Plains, and the Mid-South starting Thursday. Temperatures could drop to around 30 degrees below average across parts of the Dakotas, Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin, and northern Illinois. That same system is expected to shift toward the East Coast through Sunday, hitting areas that are still cleaning up from a recent snowstorm. And residents in upstate New York are digging out after a lake-effect snowstorm dumped more than 20 inches of snow in brutal winter conditions. Taylor Epp spoke with people in the area about what they're dealing with.
I wish it would stop.
Constant snowfall here in the town of Holland, covering driveways, street signs, and keeping John Esdinsky very busy.
Plow every couple hours or so, no big problem. But if it sneaks up on you overnight, then you got to get the snowblower out.
But when he bought this house 35 years ago, he knew what he was getting into.
I moved here because it was ski country, so I got no reason to complain. Can't live in Western New York and say, well, gee, I hope it don't snow.
He says the snow has been light, but
wind was brutal. I mean, it was blowing and drifting, even though we don't have a lot of drifts or anything like that. You just couldn't be out here. It was just too brutal.
But he says he can depend on his streets to be clear.
Case in point, here they come right now, and if they don't do anything, they plow enough. I think the third time I've seen them today. I've been out here for like about 2 hours.
The snow's been manageable for us.
Highway Superintendent Jason Simmons has 3 trucks out here handling it all.
We don't have a second shift, so my guys do it all. So we're out at 4 in the morning, and we usually shut down around 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, and then get some rest and then back out again at 4 in the morning.
He says visibility is the toughest part, so it's been helpful that schools and businesses are closed.
Because I don't have to worry about the buses, and it's a lot less traffic on the roads for us, for sure. It helps out a lot.
A lot of work, but nothing they're not used to.
I think we're pushing 20 inches, 21, 22 inches. It's definitely been a little bit of a while. We're going to get it for 24 hours straight for sure. But, I mean, it's an old-fashioned winter, no doubt about it.
As you heard, that lake-effect snow brought whiteout conditions, and while crews are making progress clearing local neighborhoods, highways, though, have had a much tougher time for drivers. Authorities responded to multiple crashes along Interstate 90, where about 60 vehicles were involved in over a 6-mile stretch. Officials say several tractor trailers jackknifed and a number of passenger vehicles were also hit. Traffic had to be diverted, and all westbound lanes of the interstate were shut down. Now, this brutal winter weather is expected to stretch more than 1,000 miles from Oklahoma and northern Texas all the way to North Carolina and Virginia. Preparations are already underway in North Carolina as a dangerous wintry mix is expected to move in over the weekend. Dave Faraday reports.
In Avery County earlier today, we saw one truck after another pull into the NCDOT yard to bring approximately 1,000 tons of salt to Avery County. The DOT says it has enough supplies of salt statewide, but it has been a challenging winter to refill some orders in mountain counties because of storms in other parts of the country. In Avery County alone, they go through 250 to 300 tons of salt every winter. Just last week, we saw crews putting down brine, that salt water mixture, in neighboring Caldwell County. We got a chance to talk with the county maintenance engineer in Avery County about maintaining an adequate salt supply this winter.
Salt shipment is very important. We were starting to get low from all we've had, and there so many different places is using salt right now, especially up north. It's getting kind of hard to get here.
Denver is starting to brace as Arctic air moves in ahead of the AFC Championship. Temperatures are expected to keep dropping in the area. Meteorologists Kathy Sabin and Katie LaSalle break down what to expect from the cold conditions.
Hello from Denver, Colorado. I'm 9 News Weather Impact Team Chief Meteorologist Kathy Sabin. We're keeping an eye on this Arctic high pressure system, bitter cold air sliding out of Canada into the Midwest and eventually the Northeast. Some models have this cold air sliding south, interacting with moisture and a cutoff low off to the southwest. Could be the prime, setup for a big ice storm from central Texas to the Carolinas for the second half of the week. And we can also be talking about heavy snow and wind in the Northeast. High pressure is the dominant feature for Colorado, but we have little weather systems that are coming in underneath the ridge. A weak front last night, but no moisture with it, just a little bit of wind. And as a result, some elevated fire danger concerns because we've been so dry. We'll enjoy one more mild day, but all eyes are on this Arctic air mass, and that cold air comes very close to Colorado and to Denver. Some models have it pushing westward into the city in the time for the weekend and the big Broncos game on Sunday. Other models have it further to the east, but any way you slice it, this Arctic air mass is going to be a big talker for the second half of the week. Today, we wake up to sunshine in Colorado. We've got a few high clouds coming in, good travel on the main arteries, I-25, I-70, no issues. We do have a chance for some mountain snow, but not until Friday night into Saturday, and that accumulating snow is welcome. No advisories for that snow or travel yet, and a few snow showers are expected to develop in Denver with the arrival of that cold front on Friday. Again, not much accumulation expected, but temperatures are going to really turn very, very cold by the time we hit the weekend. Mild day today with lots of sunshine, and we have potential weather impact alerts for Friday and Saturday for highs in the 20s, lows in the single digits and teens, and the chance for a few snow showers here in Denver and maybe some accumulating snow in the mountains, which would be great. Clearing out in time for the Bronco game Sunday and warming up by Monday afternoon.
I'm 9 News Weather Impact Team's Katie LaSalle. We are bracing for an Arctic air blast across a big portion of the country. Colorado and the West Coast will see some much colder air, and with that, precipitation rolling in with an area of low pressure to the south and west, bringing in some much needed snowfall for the high country. But for sure, it is going to be extremely cold here over the metro area as we get into Friday afternoon. Potential impacts with more snow developing in Colorado's mountains and a high of only 21 expected in Denver on Friday. So it's an Arctic cold front. It's impacting a big portion of the United States. The coldest air, though, so far that the Denver area is anticipating to see this weekend, with below zero wind chill readings ahead for our overnight lows. We'll drop down to the single digits and around zero, and the mountains are expecting to see some heavier snowfall, which is great for our central and southern high country, but that could absolutely pose some travel impacts, especially Saturday morning as skiers and boarders head to the slopes. So our Colorado snowpack, unfortunately, at 57% of median. We could really use the moisture. As of right now, just not a lot of terrain is open over a big portion of our Colorado ski resorts. Wolf Creek, the exception. Aspen Snowmass did see a good dose of snow with our last storm system, but places like Keystone, Breckenridge, pretty abysmal in terms of just the lifts and the terrain open for skiers and boarders to enjoy. But as we look ahead, fortunately, a little bit of bright news here. 3-day forecast Friday and Saturday. This is just for Friday's snowfall, around 13 inches possible near Crested Butte. More set to pile up through the day on Saturday. Keystone and Loveland around 5 as of Friday afternoon and evening. So here's what it looks like by 7 p.m. Most of that snow into our central mountains, Summit, Pitkin County, starting to see more of that snowfall roll in. In the Denver metro area, it's looking like light to moderate snow shower activity, potential impacts, and we are bracing for some very cold temperatures for Sunday's Broncos game. Even as Arctic air moves into Colorado, snow remains in short supply, as you heard. Owen Hayes reports on how skiers heading to Breckenridge for the holiday weekend hope to take advantage of the conditions, only to be met with disappointment as fewer trails were open.
The holiday weekend has brought out scores of snow lovers.
It's just being on the mountain with friends and family and having fun. I love skiing, so anytime I can get out, it's awesome.
But it's no secret these vacationers aren't loving the amount of snow that's fallen.
They will get, at some point, a huge storm. We were hoping it's going to be this week, but I don't think we're going to be that lucky.
Breckenridge Resort's website says only 73 of the 193 trails are open.
It's a bit of a bummer that we don't have more snow.
And more than half of its lifts are also shuttered.
We do pay a pretty high price to be amidst the beautiful mountains and to pay for the passes and whatnot.
And it's also affecting businesses.
Nobody's here like non-peak days, so.
James Damon helps run a rental shop in the town of Breckenridge.
Probably just one day.
The shop was quiet when I visited.
The family of skiers that show up and rent skis for 5 or 7 days, you know, those people know the conditions aren't ideal, and so they're maybe not showing up. Well, they aren't showing up.
According to Vail Resorts, based in Broomfield, Colorado, skier visits are down 20% from the prior season. Retail and rental revenue is down 6%.
That's been slow.
Damon adds much of the equipment he rents out returns damaged from low snow coverage on the mountain, which leaves exposed rubble.
So yeah, I was trying out a new board yesterday, and we definitely were avoiding some of the runs just because they're still rocky.
There's no sugarcoating it. It hasn't been a great year for snow, but finding a balance between frustration and gratitude is what matters most.
I'm from Alabama, so I'm just happy to be along for the ride.
Happy to see any snow at all.
Happy to see any snow at all.
Still good riding. It's just fun to be out and about.
And Phoenix continues to benefit from its location down in the desert southwest with increasing clouds and slightly cooler temperatures, but weekend rain isn't exactly out of the picture. Here's meteorologist Ginger Jeffries with the forecast from Arizona.
I'm meteorologist Ginger Jeffries with a look at your weather out west. Last week, we were talking about meeting records, highs in the 80s. This week, I've been tracking a little bit of a wave of moisture, a couple waves of moisture that are going to be coming our way, and our opportunity for rainfall keeps going up. Today, well, we're going to start to see really an increase of cloud cover overhead. Temperature-wise, yeah, we're definitely coming down. I mean, 72 in January, still can't complain about that, especially with this polar vortex going on across the rest of the nation. But we are going to break up our dominant clear skies with mostly cloudy conditions today in Payson. I've got 59 for you, 53 in Flagstaff, about 68 in Bullhead City. Those winds are down, the clouds are in. 73 today in Yuma and about 72 in Tucson. So let's take a look. Futurecast data. Here's the waves of moisture I've been talking about. A cutoff low, and that's going to meet a cold front that's coming down from the Pacific Northwest. The timing of this really looks like it's going to be a Saturday morning event. But Friday early morning, we have kind of like one of those outside layers that could bring around some light rain, possibly even some snow. And the impact of this, since it's coming up from the south, is really going to be on the south and eastern side of our state. So even though high country is always our prime target, right, for kind of any kind of active weather, high country won't start seeing some moisture until I'd say Saturday night into Sunday morning. The bulk of this is going to really be on the southeast corner and the eastern higher elevations. I mean, look at this. We're definitely going to be seeing some snow through the rim, also our White Mountains, and some heavy rain expected down around Tucson. For Phoenix, our rainfall totals may be right about 1/10 of an inch, with again heavy lifting on the east side of the state and certainly in the higher elevations. So this is for Friday and Saturday as these waves are going to be pushing on through, and clearly that also means our temperatures are going to come down. So again, the projections, 1/10 of an inch of rain. I know it's not a monster amount, so it's not an all-day rain event, but it should be bringing some pockets of scattered showers on Saturday, and for the higher elevations up to about 1/2 an inch. Now, as far as the White Mountains, yes, you're the prime candidate on Saturday. I mean, look at that spike, 90% confidence. Yes, high country, 50% confidence. I know, will it rain? Will it not? Again, we've got a better than average, but don't cancel your plans here in Phoenix. We're at about a 40% opportunity, so passing showers is what I'm calling for. Today, increasing clouds with decreasing temps. Numbers are going to be at about 72 degrees, and watch these clouds really start to converge by the afternoon hours, turning mostly cloudy tonight. Now, these clouds actually trap in the thermal energy, so overnight's really not going to come down all that dramatically, but I think we'll feel it in the morning as we start out in the upper 40s, mid 60s by the noon hour, and yep, we should hit a high of about 72 today in the valley. For Flagstaff, the numbers are definitely coming down. 50s today, upper 30s by Saturday, so a dusting of snow in the works for you. In the Valley of the Sun, we're going to be mostly cloudy with a chance of rain developing overnight into Saturday, clearing out nicely, but you know what? We're going to stay on the mild side this time of the year. Upper 60s, that's where we're supposed to be. That's where we're headed this weekend.
Up next, we'll have a look at the unusually dry conditions we're seeing in the Northwest, as well as how long those conditions could last. Stick with us. Here's a live look at downtown Seattle and the airport, where it's yet another foggy start to the day. A ridge of high pressure offshore has brought cool overnight temperatures in the 20s and 30s, leading to patchy fog and frost across the region, some spots worse than others. That ridge is keeping the Northwest in a dry stretch, with a few isolated showers possible along the coast today into tomorrow, specifically Thursday, because we have some disturbances offshore. Otherwise, the next best chance for widespread rain, that doesn't arrive until next week. Here's meteorologist Leah Pizzetti with your forecast from the Northwest.
Well, as we watch the way the rest of the country is bracing for icy, cold conditions in both the Midwest and the South into the Southeast, in the state of Washington, it is a much different story. Beautiful conditions are on tap. Unseasonably dry and sunny weather in the Pacific Northwest. The big story on this Wednesday was the cold temperatures that we woke up to and foggy conditions as well. Here's a look at what most areas woke up to. These were our lows for observed on our Wednesday. Sub-freezing in many cases, into the 20s, in fact, in Bellingham, Mount Vernon, Port Townsend, Bremerton, Shelton, Olympia, Chehalis. So all the way up and down Puget Sound. So cold, but really that's all we're keeping an eye on, and foggy as well. Otherwise, it is glorious in Washington. This is a view on this Wednesday overlooking downtown Seattle. The Space Needle is beautiful. You can see that fog deck that is there along the horizon. So yes, foggy conditions were certainly present today, but overall, this blue sky is what so many people are celebrating in Washington because it is beautiful. It does, of course, come at a cost. We should be building our snowpack right now, but we'll enjoy the sunshine while we can. A little vitamin D always goes a long way in Washington. As we head into our afternoon hours on Wednesday, temperatures will warm into the 40s. We'll have plentiful sunshine across the region. It is going to be glorious. Here's a view from Westport on this Wednesday. Same thing along Washington's coast. Absolutely stunning. We can see as we watch the camera pan around, the waves are lapping. That sun is shining there on the beach. A beautiful, beautiful day for our coastal communities. We also see the sun shining from our higher elevations too. This is from Mount Rainier on this Wednesday. This is an area that should be blanketed in snow, and yes, we do see that snow, but as you can see from the very dry pavement, no snow there on the ground, or fresh snow I should say. That is not what we want to see this time of the year. We're going to talk more about our dry spell in just a moment, but dry for the lowlands for rain, dry for the mountains for snow. I'm worried about what this means for our snowpack and our water conditions and supply as we move into our spring and summer months. And we don't have significant precipitation heading our way. Today will stay dry. Tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, Sunday are expected to stay dry as well. Of course, Sunday, the Seahawks will be playing our next playoff game, hopefully winning, taking us to the Super Bowl. And you know what? It looks like the weather will be very nice for Sunday's game. No rain chances, maybe some cloud cover, but that's about it. Monday's the next chance for some rain to move into western Washington, but even then it's not looking significant. Here's a look at our expected highs for the day. Temperatures will be in the mid to upper 40s. That's fairly seasonal. Our overnight lows are incredibly cold, but our daytime highs are actually right on track with par for our Wednesday afternoon. So your day today, it is beautiful. Lots of sunshine. Tomorrow, though, a little bit of a different situation. We will have more cloud cover that is moving in. That is thanks to a weak disturbance. I'll show you that in just a moment, but you can see here through the next couple of days, really no big changes for all of our regions. We are looking at sunshine today, a little more cloud cover tomorrow, but the sun will be back on Friday. So let's talk about those rain chances. It's next to nothing. Today is the sunshine. A weak disturbance brushes by tomorrow afternoon. It'll bring some light shower chances to our coast. That's about it. By Friday, that sunshine will be back. So yesterday was day 8 of no rain at the airport. Today, Wednesday, will be day 9. The record dry spell was 15 days back in 1963. At this point, it's looking like we are giving that a run for its money. It'll depend on if those Monday rain chances come to fruition, which we will keep an eye on.
To the east in Spokane, cool and cloudy conditions dominate the forecast, but there's some good news. More sun could return in time for the weekend. Here's meteorologist Thomas Patrick with that forecast.
I'm meteorologist Thomas Patrick in Spokane, Washington, and it is another cloudy day. A little bit of an exasperated sigh from me because it's been kind of boring to forecast for eastern Washington because that cloud cover has been stuck here for more than a week now. Even the fog from last week, this is the same clouds that are still on top of us, and they just refuse to move, and our benign and stagnant weather pattern quite literally keeps it locked in place. And that is not going to change still for several more days. Seriously, the cloud cover is really all we have going on for Spokane. Fingers crossed for maybe some weekend sunshine. The models are optimistic. I kind of want to wait and see just because this low-level cloud cover has been so hard to get rid of that a gentle wave might not be enough. I'm really scraping at the bottom of the barrel for maybe a chance of snow next week, but I'm not holding my breath for any of that. So there it is, just cloudy over Spokane. You can get up into the mountains in some cases to find some sunshine. Mount Spokane sunrise was beautiful overhead. Yet another great look down below and at that low level cloud cover, quite literally just seeing the tops of the clouds from the mountaintops. Now, the clouds did intersect the camera at Schweitzer. The very high peaks are above the cloud layer. This particular lift was right in the middle of it, which is why it appeared so foggy in that case. So all that low cloud cover still sat right on the core of the inland northwest. Some high level clouds, some cirrus clouds starting to stream in as well. So multiple layers of clouds for the inland northwest. If this seems like a lot of cloud talk, it is because it is, and that's really the only thing we have going for us. This stable weather pattern not only keeps that cloud cover locked in place, but that in turn keeps the cold weather locked in place. Without any afternoon sunshine, we're just hard pressed to get our temperatures to even move. Lows have been in the upper 20s, highs have been low 30s at best, and that is really all we can do. A low of 25 and a high of 31 is all the movement, even with our temperatures. And yes, that cloud cover keeps things a little bit cooler than average. Now for the weekend, the models are more optimistic about mostly sunny skies. The low temperatures actually get colder, so the high temperatures stay the same. I just want to see if anything a little bit bigger than just a gentle ridge in the jet stream is going to be enough to knock out this cloud cover. But if you look closely, there's not a whole lot of clouds, at least starting Friday and Saturday. Meanwhile, I'm covering up what is going to be the bigger national story, a massive snow and ice storm to develop around New Mexico and Texas and move all the way through the mid-Atlantic states. Our late January outlook map literally just updated as I showed it to you. We do trend a little upwards for next week. Like I said, kind of digging at the bottom of the barrel for any precipitation chances. We'll call it a chance of snow on Monday, but it's only 10 to 20% chance at best. So in the meantime, looks like everything just stays cloudy and cool for the rest of this week, with a maybe smaller chance for some sunshine this weekend, but the highs will stay in the low 30s.
Just ahead, a cow that uses tools. We'll have that story for you coming up next. To document tool use in a pet cow. The research was inspired by Veronica, a cow in Austria whose owner observed her for years picking up sticks to scratch hard-to-reach spots on her body. Researchers at the University of Veterinary Medicine in Vienna saw the video and decided to conduct a study on this. In a series of experiments using a broom, the team found that Veronica not only picked up and used the broom, but also varied how she used it. The findings published in the journal Current Biology suggest that this crafty cow displayed true tool use behavior that's previously only really seen in humans and chimpanzees. Her preferences and adaptability with the tool also point to highly intelligent decision making. Took 35 to 40 years to reach its maximum size of about 8 tons. Researchers found previously unseen growth rings that only show up under polarized light. They also discovered that these dinosaurs grew more in some years than others, suggesting growth rates depended on available resources at the time. This new finding also supports the idea that T-Rex may have been part of a group that included other species or subspecies. This challenges the earlier belief that they stopped growing around the age of 25. And it's been just a few months since a 10-year-old girl in Colorado almost died after a rattlesnake bite. Since then, she's back on the horse, literally. Tony Keith has this story.
It's okay, Gucci. On a windy day in El Paso County, east of Colorado Springs, 10-year-old Juliet Schubert sits tall on her horse Gucci. It's hard to imagine that in June, she nearly lost her life.
Me and my friend were playing. I stepped up to open the door, and then something bit me.
She went to her father, not knowing what had injured her, and then back to the barn where they saw their cat Binks.
My cat was just bonking the snake's head.
A rattlesnake. Juliet was rushed to the hospital, but as the pain grew, they needed to take her by helicopter to another hospital. Her mom, Mary Jo, living out a nightmare.
So you get to the hospital, that's one thing, but then you hear she's got to go by helicopter.
It's the scariest thing I've ever been through. You never really expect it, but it's something, it happened so fast, and you think you're prepared, but you're not.
18 vials of anti-venom were needed to save Juliet's life, but before she was even fully healed, she wanted to get back to what she loves.
You wanted to get back to your horses, though, is that right?
It's the thing that I love to do the most.
Back to horseback riding.
Nice. Yes, nice.
And competing in a number of rodeo events.
She rode almost the whole seasons on crutches, and she had only one foot in the stirrup because her foot was still swollen from the bite.
She finished 2025 as the all-around champion for the Pee Wee Girls Division for the Little Britches Youth Association, carrying with her a little memento. The rattle of the snake that nearly killed her, a reminder to never give up. And on her championship saddle?
So we got a snake print seat to remember forever what she's been through. She was in pain, and she still kept going just because it's what she loved the most to do. So cowgirl up.
Just ahead, we'll show you some of the stunning displays lighting up skies across North America this week. We'll be right back. After nearly 3 decades with NASA, astronaut Suni Williams is turning in her spacesuit. Williams joined NASA in 1998 and set several spaceflight records during her time with the agency. She logged 608 days in space in her career, which stands in second place in the NASA record books behind Penny Whitson. Williams' most recent mission was on the Boeing Starliner with fellow astronaut Butch Wilmore. The two were supposed to spend roughly a week at the ISS, but they ended up staying nearly 10 months due to technical issues with the Starliner vehicle. Williams and Wilmore both repeatedly said they enjoyed their extended time in outer space. Now both are retired from NASA following the Starliner voyage. And take a look at this. For the second night in a row, the Northern Lights put on shows over Oregon, across the Oregon coast and western Washington as well. That was the view overnight from a seaside sky cam from our station down there. So beautiful. You can see those greens and purples mixing. Almost looks like water the way it's rippling across the sky. There are stunning displays across much of the western coastline there. And speaking of Portland, their mornings have started cold and frosty, just like a lot of us here in Washington, but are giving way to sunny afternoons. A dry forecast could last through the weekend, potentially breaking a record for the most number of consecutive dry days in January. Meteorologist Rod Hill breaks all of that down for us.
You know, normally when I say from a sunny Rose City, I feel like it's a big deal, especially this time of the year. But oh my goodness, we've been doing this for a solid week now, right? Just sunny day after sunny day. I'm meteorologist Rod Hill. Timberline Lodge behind me, and one of our stories our news department's been covering this morning is the fact that the snowpack is sitting at just 30% of normal, which quite frankly, I'm surprised is not lower than that, because when you look at the data, we've only had 2 waves of any significant snow this entire winter season. You know, I'm talking about several days in a row where you racked up, a foot of snow or more. That's only happened 2 different times. And there's no snow in the forecast all the way through the first part of next week. The bases are holding around 38 inches at Meadows and 38 inches at Timberline. The dry pattern, thanks to a high pressure ridging that's led to a temperature inversion, which is clouds and locking down cold temperatures east of the Cascades out through the Columbia Basin. That produces the east wind coming out of the gorge. You folks in Troutdale, east winds to 36 early this morning. You had 52 mile per hour wind gusts again yesterday. Now, if you are visiting our area, this wind is pretty much only in proximity to the opening of the gorge. That wind does not come in to downtown Portland, where at most we've had, light winds to occasional breezes up to about 15 miles per hour. We are not perfectly clear today, but we will be mostly sunny. There's a low off the coast of San Francisco, and it's throwing a little bit of mid to high level clouds our way, but that's it. Futurecast does show a lot of sunshine today. We actually have this is a big deal. I'm going to tell you why. This is passing cloudiness coming in from the northwest tomorrow. You see that? Why is that a big deal? Then this is Fog Friday morning. Because when the high pressure ridge was really strong, giving us the dry weather and the temperature inversion and the east winds and the no snow for the Cascades, when that ridge was really strong, it kept every type of cloud flow away from us in terms of cloudiness streaming in. So the fact that we're now looking at some northwesterly clouds coming in tomorrow is visual evidence that that high pressure ridge is finally breaking down. This shows some fog Friday morning, and then that would go away, and we basically have sunshine going into the weekend. Well, after everything I've just said, not a surprise that we are chasing this. Today will easily be day 10 consecutively of not even a trace of moisture, nothing at the airport. The record dry stretch for not even a trace of moisture, not even any morning mist out of fog, which you can sometimes get a trace of moisture. That record's 13 days back in January of 1985. We will likely tie that record Saturday. And it's possible we don't have any rain until a week from today, January 28th. If that's the case, we would set a new record of 16 completely dry days with not even a trace of moisture. Wow. Wow, 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 right? Here's our seaside camera. I mean, the weather's beautiful. Don't get me wrong. That's our north coast looking at the Pacific water. There's the frost on the grass this morning in front of our Capitol, where it was down to the mid-20s again. And there's the mostly sunny morning we're having over Portland. 50s at the coast will be our warmest spot today again. 40s up and down I-5. Only freezing or even in the 20s from parts of central Oregon up through the Dalles and out into the Columbia Basin. I've got Portland at 48. Passing clouds tomorrow. Dry through the weekend. There is a shower threat on Monday, but the next good chance of rain would be day 8, Wednesday.
Also in Oregon, meet the newest member of the Oregon Zoo. Kalik, a 3-year-old polar bear, has just arrived from the St. Louis Zoo. Staff members say the 700-pound bear recently got to explore his new habitat for the first time, and given that he's still young, he's expected to get even bigger and keep growing. Now, like a lot of the western portion of the U.S., Idaho is also dealing with patchy fog and cloudy conditions, keeping temperatures on the cool side. Hector Mendoza has the latest on how that offshore high-pressure system is impacting conditions over in Boise.
Well, across many portions of the Pacific Northwest, we're seeing a lot of these stagnant conditions due to this ridge of high pressure. Now, we're going to start to notice as we get later on into the weekend that things are going to start to change. But for now and here and through at least Thursday and the first portion of Friday, we'll continue with these cloudy conditions and some of these colder temperatures. So looking at some of the forecast highs this morning, lows were around those upper 20s, so not really changing too much as we look on ahead here through our Wednesday. Upper 20s is exactly what we're expecting to sit at there from Ontario all the way through Boise. Mountain Home seeing some slightly warmer temperatures, but still below freezing. And it's the upper 20s for Jerome and Twin Falls, with temperatures out in the mountains again, not much warmer in terms of being super warm, but of course, better than what we're seeing here in portions of the valleys. But that has really changed here in the past couple of weeks as we started off the month with a long stretch of temperatures above average. We're now switching on over to below average temperatures and below freezing temperatures as well. So that is why a lot of the sort of chillier conditions have really stuck around here. We're expecting that all the way in through the beginning of next week as normal high temperatures are into the upper 30s, starting to get closer to 40 as we get towards the end of this month. But again, as we look around the region, that's where we're going to notice a lot of those low clouds there through Boise and Twin Falls, sunnier skies and much nicer conditions there through Sun Valley and McCall. The only thing that a lot of people are complaining about, especially as we're climbing up in elevation, is the lack of snow we've seen. So we haven't seen anything added to that snowpack, but of course, that's That's going to change if we start to see some of that precipitation, but it doesn't look likely. There is a chance we get some of that here as we get towards Sunday, but again, it looks like we see some drier conditions at least in through the middle of next week. So as we're taking a look here at the 7-day forecast, 29 degrees for today, 27 for tomorrow as we continue with that lid of clouds that is going to continue to keep this cold air in the valley. We'll start to see some sunshine as we head closer in through the weekend, but temperatures still stay pretty cold as cold air is going to start to come in. So it's going to be a deceiving sunshine if we get any here for this weekend. And then we see another chance for some warmer temperatures, but an inversion looks to start to settle back in as we start to look at Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. So those are the conditions we're expecting there, places there through Twin Falls. And of course, through portions of the mountains, we'll see a lot more sunnier skies, but then temperatures are going to start to level off here as we get towards Monday and Tuesday of next week. But here's a look at that upper level pattern and just kind of paying attention to why we're expecting to see a little bit more of that sunshine. So again, this sort of ridge is really going to start to break down. We're going to see a weakening of this inversion. And as we get in towards Saturday, this is going to allow some cold temperatures and cold air to start to make its way through our region. That's what's going to start to clean out a lot of those low clouds that we've seen really sticking around the past week or so. We've had 7 straight days where we've seen absolutely no sun here in the Treasure Valley. And then we're going to continue that way here into the next couple of days. So it's marking one of the longest stretches of days without sun, or some of those gloomier days here in the Treasure Valley. Last time we saw a long stretch, the longest we've seen is about 12 days back in January of 2014. But again, as this will continue here in through Sunday, we're going to start to fast forward a little bit more, getting closer in through Monday and Tuesday. Then we see this ridge really start to build itself back in, and this inversion will start to strengthen. So we expect a lot of these conditions to return as we get towards the middle of next week.
And stick with us. We'll be right back after this short break. Well, Sacramento is expected to see more clouds in the forecast, which should help mix out some of that Central Valley fog. The dry pattern continues through nearly the end of the month, and after a wet start to January, the month is shaping up to finish drier than average. Meteorologist Monica Woods brings us the latest, especially on rainfall totals out of Sacramento.
I'm meteorologist Monica Woods looking at a rundown of our largely dry forecast throughout northern and central California. More clouds, but keeping it mostly dry. Fog and clouds mixed in for the valley. For the foothills, we have clouds and cooler weather, and that dry stretch continues for this year. A look at the total rain coming in for the month of January. We started off with really healthy precipitation, albeit not the best for holiday travel weather, but it did give us a big jump on those precipitation numbers. So for the Sacramento area, we totaled 2.3 inches, and that was very early on that we made those gains. Then it's been a total bust here for about the past week and a half. Our average is 3.66 inches, and it is typically our wettest month of the year. As you can see, the next couple of months, we start to go down. Now, February is our second wettest month of the year. The other third coming in there is December. So we're almost through that time of year where we get the bulk of our precipitation. In fact, December, January, and February account for 50% of our annual precipitation in California. Once we get into March, things start to wind down, and then finally by April and May, the spring season can bring a hit or miss heavy downpour, but outside of that, it really tends to be much, much drier, and that's when we start to draw on some of those reserves that we're banking right now. We're kind of in the middle of everything, an equal chance of being likely wetter, likely drier, and you see that we are pretty much bookended here with likely drier and likely wetter throughout the state for the end of January, beginning of February. So we're going to have to watch each weather system as it comes through. Now, in the short-term forecast, what the clouds are going to do is mix up the atmosphere, get rid of some of the dense, persistent fog up and down the valley. Slight chance of a few sprinkles coming in on Thursday along the central coast. It's a quick mover. It's not going to do a whole lot to give us a lot of precipitation, but it does mix us up just a little bit to stop the widespread and dangerous fog that has been persistent throughout the Central Valley. Let's talk numbers for our Wednesday. Highs are going to be in the 40s to right around 50 for the Sierra, with 60s throughout the foothills. Traveling south towards Yosemite, we're at 58 degrees. The Central Valley from Fresno, Madera into Merced. Highs are going to be in the upper 50s to near 60. These have been some places that have been been really troubled by the persistent dense fog along Highway 99 and I-5. A lot of people traveling up and down the state have to go through that route. Wednesday's temperatures along the Central Coast, upper 50s, low 60s. We keep that pretty consistent for inland areas. 50s across the Bay Area and for the Delta along the Northwest Coast. Again, a slight chance of some showers coming into our longer range forecast. Highs will stay in the 50s, near 60 for the north end of the valley. And for the capital region, highs are going to be in the upper 50s to near 60. And those overnight lows are moderating as well. Those clouds do a nice little job of putting a blanket and cap from all of that cooling that takes shape with our nighttime hours. So a look at our 5-day forecast. We cool off just a little bit on Saturday to highs in the upper 30s for this year. That at least puts a little pause on some of the snow melt that we've seen as of late. For the foothills, highs are going to be in the 50s to low 60s. And then for the coast, we've got highs in the 50s and 60s with periods of some patchy fog, otherwise a mix of sun and clouds. And that's basically what we're looking at for the valley forecast, with highs in the 50s to near 60.
Further south, San Diego is trending cloudier and cooler today, with showers expected in the days ahead. Meteorologist Vanessa Paz breaks down the low pressure system that's boosting rain chances along California's southern coast.
Happy Wednesday from San Diego, California. I'm CBS 8 meteorologist Vanessa Paz. Our next weather maker is inching closer and closer to Southern California, expected to touch down towards the end of the week, especially on Friday. That's when we have the greatest chance for some showers. As we go and zoom on in and give you the rainfall forecast play by play, I'm going to stop this and pause it at about Thursday night, and that's when we could start to see some showers fairly light. And it looks like most of the activity around Thursday into Friday confined to the northwest quadrant of the county. This is Thursday night around 8 p.m. Notice what happens when I fast forward through Friday. We continue to see rainfall stretching from the south, working its way northward. Heavy at times, but when all is said and done, rainfall amounts look fairly light. In fact, as we take a look at the rainfall estimates, we're shooting anywhere between maybe 3 to about 5/10 of an inch or so. The greatest totals will be higher in elevation near the foothill mountain areas. Ramona could get ½ an inch. Meanwhile, we're looking at mostly a quarter, maybe 3/10 or so for most of those neighborhoods west of the mountains. All right, let's go ahead and see our wind gusts, because we have seen that shift in winds since yesterday. The return of onshore flow. Winds are going to continue out of the west, and that's probably why you've noticed that cooler air filter into the region. That will continue all the way through the end of the week, and that will cool things down. So by this afternoon, temperatures will plummet, especially in comparison to what we saw for the top of the work week. I mean, we were talking mostly 80s, especially for the inland valleys, and now we're finally feeling some relief. Lots of low 70s, high 60s to go around from the coast all the way towards interior parts of the county. So here's kind of a recap of what I just mentioned now through Wednesday morning. Patchy low clouds along with some dense fog. We saw that this morning with that dense fog advisory impacting the coastal and inland valleys. Today, temperatures will continue to slip, lots of 60s to go around, and we do have that chance for showers impacting the county Thursday all the way through Saturday morning. So let's go ahead and take a look at your 7-day forecast along the coast. Remember, on average, we should typically be in the mid to high 60s for this time of year. And as we take a look at the coastal 7-day forecast, we'll actually be a little below average. We'll stay in this range of low 60s. We won't cool down too much. We'll drop about 10 degrees or so by the time we hit the evening hours. And we do have some gradual warming by the time we get to next Monday and Tuesday. So Monday and Tuesday for the coastal areas, we'll get closer to that 70-degree mark. For the inland valleys, I mean, we're talking about anywhere between a 10 to 15-degree drop in daytime highs this afternoon, and we'll see those numbers drop even lower Thursday and Friday. So as I mentioned earlier this week, we hit highs in the upper 70s, 80s, and we'll finally see 60s rebound and 60s taking over through most of the weekend, and then 70s returning Monday and Tuesday. Here's a quick look at the mountains and desert areas. It is going to get very chilly out there. So if you're spending time in the mountain areas, our local mountains, maybe Julian, make sure that you're layering up, especially if you're hanging out with the kids. We are going to drop down to the 30s, upper 20s by the time we get to the weekend. Not cool enough for snow to develop. If we do see any snow, it'll be well high in those upper elevations. Low 70s for the desert areas, and we're also looking at pretty brisk nights there. Overnights will drop down to the 40s and 30s.
Up next, we'll have a look at how financial strain can also put stress on your heart. We'll have that up next. disease remains the leading cause of death in the United States, and now experts are analyzing another risk factor, financial stress. Worrying about money and food may age the heart even faster than traditional risk factors of cardiovascular disease. That's according to a new study published in the journal Mayo Clinic Proceedings. Ivan Rodriguez reports.
Researchers analyzed data from over 280,000 adults who sought treatment at the Mayo Clinic between 2018 and 2023. These patients completed surveys about their social and economic factors in their lives and underwent evaluations of their cardiovascular health. Instead of only looking at whether people developed heart disease, researchers focused on their cardiovascular age, which is how old a person's heart and blood vessels look compared to what one would expect given their actual age.
People who reported higher levels of financial stress had more advanced cardiovascular age.
Dr. Lena Wen was not a part of the research, but says the study shows financial stress tended to increase heart aging at a rate that was similar or greater than other risk factors like high blood pressure and diabetes.
We also have to think about the issue of compounded risk factors, which is that somebody could have high blood pressure and they also have financial stress. That person now has two significant risk factors for worse cardiovascular health.
Certified financial therapist Rick Kaler says people with financial stress need to separate the numbers from the emotions.
We need to slow down the nervous system. Trying to solve a money problem when I'm flooded and I'm in fear and panic often backfires.
Once those feelings have subsided, Kaler says work on one small financial action at a time.
Just making a call, researching one thing, rather than feeling you've got to tackle the whole problem.
I'm Ivan Rodriguez reporting.
Well, that does it for us here on Weather Out West. I'm Savannah Welch. Thank you so much for being with us today. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.